Hey everyone, I am back and it's time to do another review. Things have went back and forth while I was gone. Some earning dumps, some strange data for jobs and everything else. And let's just dive into it. I think we're kind of in a fake out environment. Uh, when I left, we had a berry setup, and let me put back volume. We were under the influence of this reversal candle. Is it this? Direction was supposed to come by taking out either the highs or the lows. And we took out the lows here and called a bottom because VIX wasn't expanding. It was looking like a fake out move to me, and this is what we got. We see this high volume reversal candle that came at the end of the month. And then we had continuation up to here. So we didn't really get out of the broadening formation. We're still in it. And now it seems like a fake out above. With what's coming up next, I think we are back into a berry setup, and there's lots of data supporting this. Let's look at the lower time frame a bit. And yeah, this is how it looks. This was the candle, the initial candle, and we are back below its highs, which is not bullish. So I think we will at minimum see a retest of this, like this. But until we get out of this broad information in a way that is super conclusive, like not a fake out, not it stalls, like for example, maybe it doesn't reverse immediately like it did here. So, but it could have done this, and then went back in, or just did a decisive move down. Same for the bullish case, like we maybe we don't do this, we stall out, and then we go crazy up. That's a decisive move outside of the broadening formation, and until we see a this type of move, either down or up, it's it's not conclusive, and we may be in this fake out kind of environment for a while. This is definitely a distribution phase, so I think with this uh, May 15th date, we have entered distribution, and we shall see which way it goes. But for now, my expectation is bearish. The main reason is Nvidia split, which should put a top in Nvidia and give us like a 30% correction in it. It doesn't mean that is the final top or the big one, but we shall see how it plays out. But for now, it's likely that this will happen. So getting out of this, this is the main scenario. The bullish one is something like this, with a potential breakout here that we get outside of the broadening formation. I don't think that will come from Nvidia. This can also be like a what is called rotation kind of thing, and I'll talk about the scenario as well. But let's look at the other indicators, meaning we have yields and the XI. We had the ECB cut this week. They cut interest rates by 25 basis points, and while initially we didn't get a reaction, and going into it, let's look at USD Euro. So the USD has been on a decline versus the euro. Be- this is in spite the fact that we knew the ECB was very likely to cut. They've been uh, pretty clear about that through multiple voices. And currency wars are about relative strength and relative weakness. Higher interest rates for a country means their currency yields more in interest. Like for example, if you do a bank deposit, uh, in a country that has like a 5% interest rate on the central bank, you will get roughly 5% interest over 1 year, let's say. But if another country has 2%, they will get 2%. So it makes sense that the country who's yielding 5% has a stronger currency relative to the one that's yielding 2%. And we knew the US has a higher interest rate right now, and we knew that the ECB is going to cut. This makes absolutely no sense. To me, this was hope that at the last second we will get some very negative economic data in the US, and the Fed will also be forced to cut by 25 BP in June. And the ECB cut happened on Thursday. This move came on Friday because of the jobs data. The jobs data was strong, and it finally allowed us to drop the hopes that the Fed will cut in June, which went to zero, and this is the result. This should have happened on Thursday, but it didn't. This shouldn't have happened at all because we knew the ECB is going to cut and the Fed was unlikely to cut, but it is what it is. Same for yields. This was all hope that the Fed is going to cut in June. It didn't. It's not going to happen, and now we have a huge spike. This will put a lot of pressure on stocks as well. It should continue, even though it may do something like this, do a slight pullback, but then move higher. Same for USD, and the target would be at least this area here, like back to like 4.9, maybe even 5 on the 20 year, on the 10 year, back in this area as well, like this. So 4.6-ish, 4.7-ish maybe. And for DXY, it's going back up. Then oil, this has been positively correlated with yields and dollar, and now that those are going up, so will uh, oil in theory. This dumped because of the OPEC meeting plus inventory buildup and random shit. I don't know, uh, but if it manages to recapture this level here, like the 75 level, and go above it, this is quite bullish. This is going to be a fake out breakdown, and it should be quite bullish going back to 81, 82. Okay, so the macro data looks like this. For crypto, I see a lot of rejections here, like on the weekly. This looks like distribution to me. It's failing to take out 71k, including now, like it's very dull, but dull in a negative way, meaning it's not a bullish dull, it's a bearish dull. A bullish, a bearish dull, no, a bullish dull is something like this at the bottom. At the top, this doesn't look like to me like accumulation and more accumulation. It looks like distribution and multiple rejections on the weekly. It would have to close above this level in a decisive way to turn the tide. Um, and remember that we're looking at end of week data, like it might do this until Wednesday, let's say, but then close back below this level by Friday. So you have to wait for the full candle to close out before making an assumption here. And I would expect we go back here to, oh, maybe that's too much weight. I'm on the weekly, like 20-30% relative to highs. Yeah, so around here, not here, this is 40%. So around this area here, 52 to 50. Okay, VIX. VIX, I think, has bottomed on this below 12 print. I very much think we do something like this, or we have started doing it. Maybe we get a blow-up move soon. Maybe we don't. Don't know because there's a possibility of just going sideways in that distribution range. But to me, this looks very similar to this. And now we will start making higher lows until we eventually have a huge move. We still have that ghost print for VVIX at 123, and this one became the high. This ghost print here became the high of the last big spike. This will probably become the high of the next big spike. and I think it's going to be coming sooner rather than later. Okay, another couple of things. So we have this breadth indicator, and we made a new high, an all-time high, with breadth being this low. This is highly unusual uh, and doesn't have a lot of precedent. I looked back through history, not a lot, but a couple of years, and I marked down a few. One is here, where breadth was very low going into a high, and we had a small correction here. It wasn't very big, but how 3.6, 3.64. Then this was the 2020 Tesla split and Apple split top. They did the split on the 31st, had 2 more days up, and then had a big reversal. This was 10%. Let's measure 10%, 10.08. Okay, then going back further, this is 2018, October 3rd. Uh, we This looks a very similar setup to today. Had a big run. We were going sideways for a while, and breadth was very, very low. Then we had a large correction. This was the taper trend tantrum, I think. I'm not gonna count it all because it's really big, but I'm gonna count this, which was 11%. Another example is here is 2017, which was a small drop, 2.13. Did I mark another one? No, that's it. So it's unusual, we don't get it very often, but it's generally a reliable indicator here. And we have a very similar setup to this. Would be the minimum and maximum, probably 487. Okay, let's look at mega caps. Tesla is the only one that I think looks decent. Uh, Not incredible, but more okay. It has this pennant. Definitely to have it on a watch list for either a breakdown or a breakout. It may go either way. The news on Tesla has been bad. Elon, I don't think he's getting his compensation package or whatever the fuck that is. Maybe he leaves the company. I have no fucking idea. But we are at the end of the pennant. The directional move is bound to happen very soon. If we go up, it should go up to the 200 MA, like 210 now. So if we have a breakout, keep an eye on Tesla. Should do something like this quickly, like 205 to up to 2010. If we have a breakdown, back to the lows at 140. So this is because of the setup we have, which is very uncertain. It's quite binary. If we get a big move up, uh, we get a breakout here. If we get a big move down, we get a breakdown here. Apple into all-time high resistance area, may go a bit higher, but no certainties here. I think this to me is bearish. We have a bearish divergence like this, and a pretty one, a large one at that. Uh, it's not inspiring strength to me. Nvidia. So a couple of things here. In general, Nvidia corrects when it's about 40 to 50% above the 200 MA. So this was 46. This was 41-ish. Let's count this one. 44-ish. 47-ish. So we are very high above the 200 MA. It needs to tag it like crazy. It's been on a massive run. Obvious bearish divergence as well, same as Apple. And my bearish bias on the market is actually because of Nvidia. When the leader stops going up and there's a correction, the whole market starts doing a correction as well. So this is why my bearish is biased on about everything. The less bearish setup would be if we get a rotation and we get a couple of the underperformers start going up again. So we get Nvidia doing like 10-15% drop, but it's more of a rotation kind of drop in which the market doesn't go down a lot because we rotate into other names. But because of yields and dollar going up, I think this is less likely that we get kind of a rotation drop, and it's more likely that we get a an actual proper correction and we do maybe 10% this time. So the analogy here is with the Tesla and Apple. This one, stock split. This was Tesla. It did a huge run before Nvidia. Tesla was the market bad boy, like 64% above the 300 MA. And don't get me wrong about Nvidia, like it's probably still bullish, but it hasn't done a proper consolidation in a long while. Even Tesla at this point, uh, it did multiple 30-40% corrections. Like we have this one, which was 23%. Then we have this one, which was 34%. This one was 40%, and it wasn't the top. Like this one, 30%. Even at the top, it didn't top out in a single move. So I'm not calling a top on the bear market actually. I'm calling it we are at maybe this, maybe not this because it is lower high, but maybe this, maybe this. Uh, we are in dire need of a major correction on Nvidia, and the later it comes, the more spectacular it's going to be. And now it's very late for this thing. And Nvidia to do this kind of move and go for like 2000 or something like this as a move, it needs a proper consolidation phase like it did here. This was so we had a breakout, but it actually went sideways in this range, and it stayed in this range for 152 bars. So that's like how many days? 222 20 days. That's a lot of time to spend going sideways and doing accumulation. It needs time to gather its strength to do this again, just like Tesla needed it. For example, how big was this sideways move? 78 days. It needs to go sideways just like that and uh, gather more buyers. Okay, Google with a bit of a rejection on Friday. Also, I think it has gone into distribution in this range, so between here and here. And when it loses this 170, let's call it 170 level, I think it does a flush down. Amazon lower high and uh, also at the all-time high area and likely to get rejected. Microsoft, same kind of thing here. This broadening formation, we haven't reached the top yet, but I think it's highly unlikely that we uh, break out of here. Meta lower high Netflix, similar to Google, like this distribution range. If it goes below this 630 level, let's call it, it should flush down. And some, I cannot help being bullish on oil. So got rejected here. If we have continuation down, I'm gonna reassess like this. If this is continues to be bearish, it should go here. So yeah, that's kind of it for now. I am bearish, but not overly so. So it may be a top, it may go sideways in this range here, but I'm pretty sure we entered the distribution phase of the market, and whenever we get outside of this will be the next leg, next directional leg of the market, of this broadening formation. I'm going to do another video on individual names, a couple of selections for this week. So see you in the other video. Bye bye.